Alrighty, similar comps, no heavies really to speak of. I mean, no high tier heavies. So anyways, generally speaking, I find it easiest to do some scouting through here, especially since they don't really have a lot of speed other than their light tanks, because you can light up into that area right there pretty easily. A lot of this is potential for redundancy because you do have another light tank on the team, but generally I find that most light tank players don't do a whole lot of spotting. So it's generally best if you do it yourself, particularly if you can potentially do a combo of both dealing with the damages and doing the spotting. You can move over here, but then you're kind of assuming that your team is going to spot for you, which, as I just said, is not a very good assumption to make. And you can cross through here, but just so you know, the danger of crossing through here is that there is a gap between these bushes, right? So if you look between this bush right here and this rock, there's a gap, so you can get spotted as you cross through there. I also find that this isn't necessarily super useful in most of cases. Your boy up here got a shot on their slow OI at least, so there is that. And then you're never really worried about those guys that camp up here, just like their team should never really be worried about your guys camped up here. You are getting a lot of profit out of this spot though, so can't hate on that bit. I'm just in general, I don't feel like this is as profitable a spot as, say, lighting where this 1375 is lighting through now, you know, at the early game where you can get shots into that area over there, especially since these guys up here can get those same shots over there. And again, you're never really worried about those guys up there. Like, even if that guy doesn't die, even if that guy stays alive for the entire game, that guy's not a difference maker in the game. So you're never really worried about that. Like, you see your guy getting pushed over here. I saw you look over here, but you're like, nah, you're good. I'm gonna keep spotting this Cromwell. Like, I mean, I guess they're playing into you, so you got that going for you, but to me, you should always try to think about whether you can help teammates or not. Like, it wouldn't cost you anything to go over here and save your boy, but you basically just let that guy die. Although now, you're like, well, alright. And I would always make the argument, if you were going to go kill this guy anyways, you should have done it while your guy was still alive. It would have helped your guys out a lot. You guys have not traded very well on the south, so one of the things is you already lost the south. That's not actually that big of a deal because you can actually spot them and or shoot them from up here fairly easily. The problem is that you guys don't really have any map control. Not that their team did a whole lot to get map control, it's just that you guys have done even less. And then coming all the way to the south is not necessarily very helpful. You'd be better off pushing that IKV. I would still push the IKV. You can get him. Get him. Get him. Get him. You're just like allowing your teammates to die a little bit too much. Oh, just run away. No, just run away. You should have run away into that ditch. The problem with running away up here is that you're pretty vulnerable up here. And then pretty much as soon as you're reloaded, you should just push this Thunderbolt. Just go ahead and turret break him. Which means to just drive right by him. There we go. That's what we're talking about. There we go. Look at that action. That's what light tanks are supposed to be doing. And you can bring off your auto aim there and you don't, there's no, like, you were like rocking back and forth for unknown reasons since his gun wasn't even facing you and he wasn't really even making any indication that he was going to face you. In order to cut down on latency misses and things like that, just go ahead, You can completely remove your hand from the keyboard and just zoom in the sniper mode and just shoot him regularly. That way you reduce your chances for missing. And then now here is where you need to play a little bit more of a range game. You can sit back here and snipe and like these guys fairly easily. And again, you want to play a little bit further back than you're driving forward here, which is completely unnecessary. You have a shot on them, so you can shoot either. No, you don't want to shoot his side. You want to shoot. So he's got a little turret right here that you can shoot. His turret is also facing a bit to your left, so there's a square area right here that you can shoot. But you don't want to shoot for his side because that's far too steep of an angle. You want to shoot at a more flat surface there. I say as you go through the side. And again, you should still be more worried about these guys right here. This is the bigger concern. This is also something that you can take care of. And again, so one of the things that we talk about a lot when we play light tanks is that control the range. Control the range. The advantage that you have is not your super awesome gun. It's the fact that you've got better camo than everybody. And typically speaking, better at as good a view range as anybody else. So you can outrange these guys and basically snipe them from afar. What you don't want to do is snipe them from up close. Bushes are overrated. Use your camo. That's what the light tanks are for. You're not really worried about that guy. If you can get the JP2 down, that would be ideal. Again, you're not really worried about the OI. The OI is not really busting up your team. You are shooting that side of his turret though, so that is good. But no, not the AT8. No, the JP2. Like this guy right here. You can damage that guy right there. Yeah. Unfortunately, your team's not going to live long enough for you to reload. And so, whenever you can take out top tier guns like that, it's incredibly important to do. So yes, you are going to have to shoot this AT8 though. So this I do agree with. Because you need to get him to back off if at all possible. And then their ISU's coming in through the side. You can actually stay here. It's not that bad. You need to get a shot on this guy, right? Although you already hit your reload. And then what you need to do is you literally just drive away this way, right? And then you'll go down into this ditch and nobody else will be able to shoot you. And then you just cut out and go out the other side. Ooh, looks like you're doing it. Oh, except for the fact that you're just driving out into the open here, which is not, absolutely not what you wanted to do. Okay, now cut out. Go the other way. Again, range is your friend. Don't go to the back of the zone. You want to just leave. You just want to leave. Just leave. You don't want to go to the back. No, you just want to leave. Just, like, leave. Trust me, you just want to leave. Again, you can outspot every single tank here. That is not your concern. You can get some free shots on this guy as he comes through, but you do have to understand that guy is coming through eventually. Oh, shoot the JP2! The JP2, my man! Now run! Run! Run away! Literally just run away. Good job. Ish. Again, target selection would have been much better off shooting the JP2 than anybody else. And then you can go ahead and bail. If they get on the cap, right, all you gotta do is come around over on this side. It's not gonna be ideal. You're actually better off coming on through this side, but they're gonna expect you to come around through that side. So all you have to do is play through this mid plateau here, and you should be able to spot them. There is a ditch on the back of the cap. Shoot the JP2, my man! Shoot the JP2! Oh, I don't know. Are you friends with that guy? Keep going off to the south. No, so critical mistake. You don't need to get any closer to them, right? I think we've established that. What you want to do is you want to be as far away as possible. And you're like, no. I got this. I'm a heavy tank, right? I got this. I wouldn't worry about the JW Panther. You need to get the reset on the cap. Okay. You just fail. Now you can worry about the GW Panther. Take your time. Take your time. Oh, you do need to kill him though. Oh, alright. And then now it's you simply go back. Well, you didn't need to do that. You could have still been over here. Again, for some reason you have this mistaken notion that you need to be close to these guys. And as we've said many times, that is not the case. Oh, get that reset, my man. Oh, look at it go. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Excellent. Now get one shot if you can on the other guy. And you can't. Just go ahead and reload. You got plenty of time. Oh, you didn't need to let him spot you. Oh, you also don't need to close this gap yet. What? Too much reload time. Again, so critical mistake. What do we always say? What do we always say? What is your advantage? Is your advantage you got more health than him? No. Is your advantage you have more armor than him? Well, in this particular case, you actually do have more armor than him, but for all intents and purposes, you have the same amount of non-existent armor, right? Do you have a better gun than him? No. What is your advantage? Why would you be like, all right, man, you know what? This is too easy. You know what we're going to do? Is I'll fight you without any of my own advantages. We'll fight on your ground, right? You're the hunter that throws down the gun and says, all right, bear, mano y mano. Or I guess it's mano y urso. Right? And that's it. It's like, why? Like, it makes no sense to me. And you could theoretically make the argument that, oh, if you were loaded, that, okay, this is the only play that we have because we think that the GW Panther is about to snipe us. But I don't think that's a very good argument. To me, all that you did was you just threw away your advantage. And again, it goes back to what we say always with these light tanks. Understand what your strengths really are. You're not going to out-brawl this guy. You're not going to out-punch him, right? That is not your strength. Your strength is exactly what you were doing, which is literally owning them from a distance, right? There was nothing that they could do. All they could do was watch you. All this guy could do was hide. Like, that was his option. So you need to play that to your strength a little bit more. So anyhow, in the early game, you came over here, which I don't generally think is a very profitable move, but your team did profit from it, in part because their team was a little Tato, right? A lot of them sat out here, which allowed you guys to get shots. Again, you're never really concerned about these guys on the sniper decks. It's the same thing on the other side. If I'm playing from this side, I'm never really worried about these guys up here. These guys that are on these areas are not critical to the game. The guys that actually play in through this northwest or this southeast, those are the actual critical guys, and that's where you're trying to get the damage out, because those guys are the ones that you actually need to weaken. Weakening the snipers is essentially irrelevant. You kind of allowed your light tank over here to just die because I don't know why. You didn't like him. You liked that JP2 on their team a lot more than you liked your own 1375. Because I saw you look over there. You're like, oh yeah, their WZ-132 is attacking him. All right, good luck, man. And that kind of hurt you a little bit, because it wouldn't have been anything for you to drive over there, which you eventually did after he died, right, in order to kill. And then the other thing is you had plenty of opportunities to kill that JP2, which would have helped you and your team out a lot. Whenever you can take out those top-tier guns, you certainly want to do that. And then again, particularly when we're talking about these mid to late games, exploit your advantage. Exploit the fact that you are faster, that you have better camo, and that you typically have at least as good a view range, if not better view range than everybody else. Like, those are your advantages, and you should always try to play to that. guess that looks okay. I'll have to fix my Firefox later because it is not working properly. Anyhow, you didn't get a whole lot out of your team. Your team didn't really leave the base. The guys that did go to the south got stomped, and that always hurts. But you guys made really no effort to win the north. Neither team really made an effort to win the north, and that's sort of a little bit of a problem, which is another reason why I find it more useful to spot through that south area at the start. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably just like shifted over on the... There we go. Okay. Well, it's still cut off on the right now, but... Oh, well. Anyhow. Where was I? Oh, yeah. And so that's one of the reasons why I find it a little bit more useful to get that intel about what they are sending to the north, so you generally have an idea whether you can counter push through there or not. As it was, your team, right, did not really leave the base. Like if you look at the death toll, look at the death toll of your team. Like every single guy died on the south side of the map, right? Just in the bottom 4 quadrants here. And that's a little bit of a limitation. Again, when you don't have map control, it's generally a bit of a tough fight to play through. But you shot pretty well. The gun control on the 12T looks okay. It's certainly not as bad as the old 1390 was. So you do have that going for you. GG, nice try. It was an entertaining game. No, it's not a matter of whether I could have pulled it off or whether anybody watching could have pulled it off. So the whole idea behind the replay reviews is, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating, is when you look at any game, any of my games, any of a professional tanks player's games, there are mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes there are errors of omission where there's just things that you missed, and sometimes there's errors of, what is it, commission, I guess? Right, errors that you actively make, where you're just like, oh, I drove out here and got myself shot up when I really shouldn't have. And so the whole idea of the replay reviews is to go through them with a fine-tooth comb and just say, okay, well, here's a couple of errors that all you got to do is clean this up, right? And that's the difference between a close loss and a close win. It's all all you got to do is clean this up, and that's the difference between a close win and an easy win. And so that's really what we're looking at. So it's not necessarily that, oh, I point out 10 different things that that you could have done differently, so you're a horrible player. Because you can go back to any of the replays, any of my replays, and point out 10 different things that I could have done differently. So the whole point that we're trying to get at is that once you have somebody point out, like, this is the error, this is what you can do here, this is where you're getting away from your game plan, and this is what your game plan should be, right? And you can talk it out in a rational manner. The next time, in theory, the next time you're in that situation, you're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, I don't want to get too close to these guys unless I have to, right? I just want to stay as far away as I can, and just because you were doing it perfectly, right? You were owning them from a distance, and then you're just like, I just gotta get a little closer, and you're like, no, why do you gotta get a little closer? Like, I don't understand that that rationale. Like, that always kills me, especially in light tanks, is this whole idea of, oh, I just need to be closer. No, like, if you're in a heavy tank, you're like, okay, I need to be closer. All right, I'm with you. But in a light tank, I'm always thinking, oh man, I need to be further away than where I'm at. No, and I get that most of you realize that, but again, it bears repeating for people who are new-ish here. All right, next we'll look at Jayboxx's Hellcat. it looks like. Haven't seen a Hellcat game in a while. Yeah, I mean, I would say that you should probably listen to my advice a little bit more than. I mean, I think that the chat can provide some usefulness in terms of pointing out things that I miss and things like that, but for the most part, I think it's not. This countdown's not slowing down. Okay, there we go. It stopped. It was like I was trying to defuse a bomb there. Damn it! Now I don't have a cursor. Test. Okay. Now I forgot what the heck I was gonna rant about. Oh well. Let's go on to the next game. It's been a long day. Okay. So anyhow, pretty similar comps. So if you watch me play Live Oaks earlier tonight, you'll notice that what I generally like to do in this type of comp is I'll start coming down here because I want to see what the enemy team sends, but I won't necessarily commit to the ditch unless I either have overwhelming reinforcements or I have some intel that they are not sending that much down here. You know, whether that's because we see things on the other side or not. And especially when you have platoons, like a platoon of Hellcats isn't necessarily you're not going to necessarily have a whole lot of teamwork there because they're both really more second line tanks. And then so this is what we were saying earlier, which is this idea that sort of 30 seconds into the game, 60 seconds into the game, you want to look and see what your team is doing and where they're coming. So you are sending a couple of your heavies down here, which is it's intriguing, especially since one of them I think is a 5100. And you can stop back here, but one of the things that you shouldn't really do, like if you're running a Hellcat with binocs, what you don't want to do is like sit out here and kind of wait because the light tanks are going to be able to spot you before your binocs even kick in, and this is a very easy place to get shot by the enemy team. The better place to go is actually up here by this train boxcar, because that will actually provide you some defense. Because where you're at right now, you can still be spotted here by any light tanks, and although maybe not this light tank. Oh, look, he's got a friend. And again, so it's one of those things where I don't think that this place is very profitable, but in this particular game, it was particularly profitable because that guy drove through on that side for some reason. So similar to that Arctic region game that we just talked about, I'm not a big fan of this, I guess is what I'm getting at. So their guys are a lot more forward than you, so that's something to keep in mind. So one of the things that we've said is that one of the problems of being in this area is that once the enemy gets up underneath you, all of these guys right here are dead. Yeah, you want to get off. So typically speaking, you don't want to sit up there anyways. But so one of the things about playing second line is that as the first line advances, all you got to do is fall back, right? Because you want to control the distance in the same way that a light tank wants to control the distance when you're playing the second line here. And again, all of your guys in the front are going to die. There's nothing that you can do to save those guys. But what you can do is try to prevent these guys from just driving over on top of them like they currently are. Right? Like you could be getting shots on these guys right now. Don't worry, he'll come. No, I wouldn't worry about that guy. Like that FCM is, he's begging for it. Look, look. Oh, and then again, every time you fire, just go ahead and drive 10 meters this way. right? And that's the whole thing about playing second line is that once you recognize that your front line is losing, and again, as I said, you didn't know, but you should know. Now, I'm telling you that once they get up underneath you, all of your guys here are dead. Like that is, unless you just for some reason have overwhelming numbers here, like all of these guys here are dead. There's nothing that they can do. That is the advantage of holding this position from either side, is that it's too easy to just whittle down those guys on the other side. So whoever controls this ditch wins this side. So again, as I was saying, for when you play these second line tanks, what you're really looking to do is you're looking to cover the front line. So every time these guys pop up, you get a shot and then you back off to control your distance. You get a shot and you back off to control your distance. Like you should always be doing that. That way you minimize how much you have to keep going back and forth here. So like you're still staying here, and that's where I'm saying there's a problem. You basically want to be not at draw, but reasonably close. You can get a shot through there, but it's really just a hope shot. Now that's a shot. And again, you still want to move. Again, as we were saying, it's about controlling the distance. It's really important. Although if their light tanks keep getting themselves killed on you, that works too. And again, so as I was saying earlier, the whole problem that I have with your current position is that you're just a little too close. I like to be just outside of the max detect range, because then that gives you a little bit of a cushion to move out. Like see where your platoon mate is back here? That's perfect. Like see, this is your draw over here. Like this is where you're looking to get your comfort zone in here. And again, you should have been backing off even before. That would have made your life much easier. And then see how you're loaded now, but now you're not facing the right direction. Again, so keep your gun facing this way 10 meters every time you fire. You're not going to really have spotters here, so you actually want to just go ahead and bailing off of this side. The Hellcat theoretically can spot, especially since you do have binocs, but this is just not a very good area to spot from. They do have a decent amount of shelter there. And again, you're just too close. You just want to back off. And so, again, theoretically speaking, so since your buddy is spotting over here, like theoretically speaking, you should be back over here or even over here. You need to get to slightly higher elevation so you can shoot down into that side potentially. You're not really doing a whole lot else. Like you need to change this distance. Again, remember when you look at these circles, right, this blue line represents both how far you can see because currently your binocs are activated, but also the maximum view range. And so whenever the maximum detect range, whenever there are people within the maximum detect range of you, that means that when you fire, you are at risk of them actually spotting you. And so you want to go ahead and back up. That one didn't go through. I'd be more worried about these guys over here. Again, these guys are too close to you. You need to back up here. You're benefiting a little bit because obviously they're all blind, but you can get a shot on that T-25. Lol. That guy was not going to be a threat, but okay. FCM, FCM, FCM. You just took a shot at that KV-3. Oh, man. And you won't take a shot at the FCM? And again, as we were saying, that's sort of the benefit of being able to back up there. So at this point, you guys just need to do something. So you guys should probably just push this pilot because you've already lost the other side. No, where you going, my man? No, look, okay. So again, if he's focused on you and shooting you, okay, you can you can get yourself into a safer position. But he's not focused on you. I'm not even entirely sure that he's aware that you're in the game, right? But he does know that, hey, there's a guy out here. So he's literally driving over this thing in order to get shots at him. Both of you guys should be shooting that guy right now. Like, the city is already lost. You need to win this side just so that you have someplace to fall back to. Oh, it looks like you've made the executive decision. Unfortunately, your A44 is already in, and your platoon mate is still back here. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing. But you are moving to get a shot, which is fantastic. This is what you should be doing. And then if you could push that FCN's position, then do that. If you can't, then oh well. And then you're not really worried about the cap at this point. You need to clear off your backside. Once you do, then you can worry about the cap. Again, remember, it is very, 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 very easy to clear the cap. And again, you do not want to sit on the top of this hill. This hill is bad. So everybody went in, and that's fine. Okay, so the good news is that you've cleared off the back for the moment. And then this is exactly what you want. Exactly what you want. Like, keep in mind that there's an IS-2 over here. Like, shooting at that Oni angled frontally is a little bit more questionable than shooting at this IS-2 once he crosses over through that high ground over there. Oh, look, there's two of them now. So I would be looking down here. Like, this is the bigger concern as they pass through here. Like, again, if you were just owning that Oni, that would be one thing. But that's going to be a tough, tough, tough shot. These guys are about to pass through an open area. Like, you need to be able to hit that shot. No, 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 no. All right, run. Run away. And so one of the things that's really underrated is this position right here. This position right here allows you to shoot and spot under here at these guys. Have some cover from fire from that side, and allows you to spot out through that other side as well. So the further that you move away from the cars, the less protection that you have. And again, you do this thing where you look where you drive a lot. That's generally not necessary, especially in these tanks with slower turrets. Just go ahead and drive over there, but keep your turret face this way so that you're ready to get this shot. Again, this guy's crossing through an open area. You're loaded. You don't really have anything better to do. You should be shooting that guy. But you're yeah, I don't know. Run away! No, just keep running away. Just keep running away, my man. Because the problem is that he's going to come over right here and he's going to light you.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Oh man, the type's in the back. And you can push the type is probably your best bet. Oh yeah. Still best to push the type. Just do it, my man. Oh, and he missed. Just push the type. Just push out through that way. Just, you need to get a little bit of distance here. The distance doesn't help you as much as it would like a light tank, simply because you can't quite play the same range game. But the thing is that you can't just sit here and try to trade with these guys, because that's gonna get you owned. Even assuming you did have enough, ammo. But let's say that it was just the heavy tanks left. You could outrange a lot of heavy tanks. Like that, you're not really concerned about.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
So anyways, you came to the south here, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with that. Again, you sat up on the rails, which I don't think is a good idea. It's just too easy to get lit and or shot there. And you don't really get any better shots than you would if you were just on this side of the hill. So I don't think that that's necessary. Again, as I was saying, one of the things about the game is that you sort of have to recognize when you've lost a side. Like once they own this ditch and they're up underneath your guys, unless, again, as I said, unless they really have a small number of players and you've got a large number of players, all of these guys over here will die. It is just simply not a good position to hold if they are sitting up underneath you, because there's nothing you can do. And so, again, one of the ways in playing second line over here was not bad, but again, you need to maximize the way that you play that second line. There are a lot of times where you were basically sitting there waiting when you could have been moving a little bit. And again, when you were moving, you didn't have your gun facing in the right direction, which is particularly for these tanks that have slow turrets. You just want to go ahead and leave your gun facing down that way and just drive away this a little bit. And so what I was saying is that as that front line is crumbling, basically as they are advancing, between each shot that you take, you can just move 5 or 10 meters away. Take the next shot, move 5 or 10 meters away as they advance, right? And so what that ends up doing is that you get a shot every time you're reloaded, but you're also moving slightly further away. And it's just sort of an optimal use of your time. I don't really think that you had much of a chance to win this in either way, simply because your guys did lose on the west on the north side as well, and that was certainly going to be a problem. Once you guys cleared this out, theoretically, if you cleared it out early enough, you could have gotten their heavies as they crossed here. And again, that's sort of the power of playing through this sort of F0-ish position here, is that you can shoot underneath this. It's a little far away. You can shoot underneath this car right here, and you can spot through there, and you can do a lot of things through this area right here to basically protect your cap. And so that's something to consider as well. I think it's a very underutilized late game resource, is playing through right there in terms of defending this side. Yeah, they certainly nerfed the Hellcat speed quite a bit. Again, the gun on it is still pretty good, and straight line speed, once it gets up to speed, is fine. But yeah, it is no longer nearly as mobile as it used to be. Let us look at the stats. Yeah. Your buddy unfortunately did not do a whole lot there. I'm not entirely sure why he was gun averse. Maybe he really didn't have very many credits, so he couldn't afford to put that many shells in his gun. But you did a pretty good job. And again, I think it's one of those things, is playing those second line tanks, particularly in games like this, can be a little bit challenging. But I think if anything, the take-home message of this should be that if you just play it a little bit more optimally, again, you're not going to win that game, but if you just play it a little bit more optimally, that you'll sort of maximize how you can play that. And in particular, making sure that you move between shots and not when you're loaded and there are things to shoot, because there was a lot of time that you spent moving when you could have been shooting, and then waiting when you could have been moving, sort of thing. So I always think of the reload times as, all right, what am I going to do in this reload time? All right, I've got 6 seconds here, I've got 10 seconds here, whatever the length of time is. Okay, should I be moving back 5 meters? Should I be moving to the left 5 meters? You know, and again, we're not talking about making these huge steps. It's just literally just scroll back a little bit. And you'll find that over time that will sort of maximize the range at which you can play. GG, nice try.